Hello, Paradise lovers, hope you're well. This is Guy. Today, just to thank you or to show you some love for the incredible support that I'm getting for the 1991 track. I decided to break down this track and just to show you from my perspective, from my point of view, what is inside the track, the plugin that I used, kick, pretty much everything related to it. Okay. First of all, just let me thank you again for the unbelievable support. I was seeing the chart, the main chart on Beatport, and today we are still at 7, which is incredible for an electronica track and from Paradise as well. So thank you for that. Okay, back to the main project. As you may see, the full project is inside Ableton Live. If you followed some courses that I made with Sonic Academy, you know that I always have a side chain triggering. Sometimes it can be a percussion, a hat, or whatever. And I love that my triggering side chaining is always really, really short. Okay, but I will show you what is inside. Okay, let's start from the kick. This is a kick from my sample pack. You can get it easily on my Bandcamp. I'm gonna leave you the link below this video. What is inside? There is a multiband which is given to the kick a little bit of low end. Just let me play this. Turn the volume up. Okay, get it. Okay, without the multiband, there is a kind of couple dBs on the low end, and what else? Pretty much nothing here. There is a focusing equalizer from Softube. I really love this because it gives a little bit of saturation. Actually, I've added a little bit, just a tiny bit of saturation on the low end. From this, just keep low on the low end part, and I reduce the volume. Sometimes it goes a little bit too distorted, and I didn't want it because the kick, as you can see, the kick is really short, and I just want to keep it as some old vibe style. So the kick is really short, not really distorted, not really saturated, but it sounds good anyway. Okay, the focus in EQ, and after that there is always an LFO tool, which I usually see as an oscilloscope in order to see where my kick ends, just to avoid that it clashes with the bass line. There's nothing else inside a kick, so it's really simple, nothing else. Okay, so let's move to the drums. Okay, I'm gonna show you what is inside the drums later. Okay, just let me show you the single elements. I have some clap. This clap is being taken probably from it's from a Loop Cloud sample. Sounds nice. What I have here, of course, there is a filter because I apply the filter later in the breakdown. And instead of clipping, I usually clip my claps. Because sometimes they are too dynamic, and I really need to take care of the kick, which plays together with a clap, and sometimes they are really generating an incredible dynamic at the end of the chain. And I just sometimes all I do, instead of applying or adding a clip to the claps or to the snares, I kind of decrease the initial transient of the claps. So that's really easy, and that's a good method to avoid that the kick together with the clap, when they sound together, they are not going too loud. Okay, So this is the clap, really easy. There is a loop here. Okay, what I have inside this loop is an EQ, which I removed the low end, the high end. I just want to keep it really medium, in the medium side, okay? Really boxy. There is an auto pan just to create a little bit more movement. But again, that's really easy. Sometimes I do it with my pen and I just change the pen inside, okay? Just to make the tracks a little bit more, interesting in general. Okay, this is another loop. It's a percussive loop. Let me remove everything. Okay, it plays that way. Some percussions here. What I've done here was to remove all the mid and high frequencies, and let me show you. Yeah, there was a kind of resonant frequency here. That's why I decided to decrease, to cut here. Again, I removed all the low end, I removed all the high end and the medium part as well. Together with the other loop, they sound that way. Where's my loop? Okay. Together with the clap. Okay, really easy. Some egg shakers. This is just a loop. Egg shakers, really easy. Nothing. I didn't add pretty much nothing here. And these are some open ads taken from Machine. I mean, sometimes I create some loops inside Machine and then I export in order to treat them properly. It's easy, a little bit easier for me to treat them on a separate channels instead of Machine. What we have inside here is one of my favorite plugins. I usually kind of cut the long tail of the, sometimes from the claps of the snare, sometimes the long tail of I don't know, from my open hat or whatever. This is width, and this is without. Definitely it has it's more centered. I think that perspective of this loop changes a lot with the SPL Trends and Designer, with and without. Without it, it's really far. And if I add it, it's really in front of me. And that's really important for some kind of drums, okay? So, this is pretty much everything inside the drums. On the drums, I usually add a compressor. With a compressor. Okay, again, bringing it in front of me, a decapitator, the lovely decapitator. Just giving it a little bit of saturation. A fat filter Saturn. Sometimes with a gentle saturation here, not on the left hand side, I mean on the medium, on the low part, but I usually apply this basic saturation. It's one of my favorite presets from Saturn. There is on Saturn 1 as well, pretty much the same. And I usually add a little bit of drive here and a little bit of drive here. Okay, E major. All I wanted was opening this band and a little bit or more image on this band as well. Be careful with these because sometimes they are totally out of phase. So I know sometimes it sounds amazing, it sounds better. You have the perception that everything sounds better if the image is really wide and large, but sometimes it's too much. So be really careful with that. And what else? Mag EQ. I was testing it. This EQ sounds really good. I got a subscription of the Plugin Alliance. Sometimes they put some amazing plugin. This is one of my favorite, just to give more airy to the hats, to the drums in general. I love this, together with the Mag 4 as well. But anyway, and what else inside the drums? I usually add a standard clip. This is an amazing clipper. Sometimes just to tame just a little bit of the peaks. Okay, so right here I'm just taming, I'm just cutting, I'm just clipping just a little bit of the claps together with the hi-hats. Okay, so pretty much nothing. Okay, nothing at all. And yeah, I just want to add these to add a little bit of gritty vibes from the 90s. This is kind of emulating an Akai RX 950. Sounds really good sometimes doesn't. I don't know why. It depends, of course, on the way that I apply, or on the way I use the input and the output level. But yeah, I didn't add to this track, at least on the drums. So when the drums are done, I usually create a bus to treat the kick and the drums together. This is, let's call kick and drums. What I have inside this is exactly the kick and the drums playing together, and I usually start from a view meter, put it here at 0, clipping at 0 decibel. Sometimes it depends on the track. Sometimes I add a Neves 1073, sometimes an API. Sometimes I added, and that it was the case, I've added this, which is basically modeled. It's a preamp. Okay, so what it does, it gives a little bit of distortion. Just let me play this without. Okay, let me play the same loop. Let's take a loop where everything plays. Okay. This is without, and this is with. Huge difference. Yeah, it gives a little bit of distortion to the drums together with the kick. I really like it. I strongly recommend this plugin as well, together with the Omegas from Kush. I think they released 3 or 4 different preamp called Omega A, called Omega N, which is modeled on an Eve, and this is model TWK, which is really good. It depends on the tracks or on the drums or whatever. But sometimes I prefer the Omega A, sometimes, which is a little bit more sparkling. Sometimes the Omega N. Yeah, it depends on the things that I love to treat with this plugin. Okay, let's move on. So bass. I got 2 bass line inside this track. The first one is a sub, which comes from Silent, the mighty Silent. You can barely hear it. Okay, let me. Sounds crappy with an LFO tool in order to avoid any clashing together with a kick. Sounds that way. I'll show you. Okay. That's the bass line. And I wanted to remove just some low end, very low end frequencies below 25 Hertz and up the 70 Hertz. Why? Because I usually split the sub bass and my bass, mid and high bass. Sometimes they could be 2, sometimes 3 different basses. They are 2 actually on this particular track. So it was the sub and the main bass line, which sounds like that. Sounds so 90. Let me play that again. Okay, sounds that way. Yeah, there is pretty much nothing is happening on the. Yeah, there is some automation on the X7. Let me open the X7. Still waiting to the X7. Okay, wow, look at that. Okay, it's lately bass. If you are old enough and you start making music or listening to this kind of music when at the end of the 80s and the early beginning of the 90s, the lately bass coming from TZ801X was an incredible rack from Yamaha, and if you was a big fan of that kind of music, the late 80s and the early 90s, lately bass was was one of the most used preset on that particular rack. Sounded amazing. They use I think you can find it in several tracks from the late 80s, like Get the Core, for example. Even I think Will Smith used it several times back in the days, together with the DJ Jesse Jeff. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that, but I was a big fan. Actually, I had it back in the days, and I sold it because it sounded really good, but at the same time, it was really hard to edit. That's why I sold it. Probably I'm gonna buy it again. Anyway, that was taken from the X7 from Arturia. What else do we have? We have a compressor in sidechain. I have SSLG. I usually start from this EDM subtone. Sometimes I tweak it just a little bit. And then I added a max bass just to add a little bit more presence in order to listen to this in our smaller speakers. Let me play this with and without. Definitely has more presence. Yeah, there is a big difference. Again, I cut some low around 45 just to avoid that they were clashing together with the sub bass that I used before. There is a clipper here. I show you what is happening. I'm just clipping some peaks. Yeah, again, you gotta be careful with some clippers because sometimes they had a lot of distortion, but in the end, it's always worth it using a clip-in instead of a limiter. Actually, but sometimes I use a limiter as well, just to tame all the peaks on my bass lines. Okay, and there is an LFO tool. Just cutting some transient here and there to avoid that they are clashing together with a kick, and there is an automation on the filter. It was really useful for the break. I will play later. Okay, so This was the bass. We already treated the drums. What is inside? Okay, now the funny part. Okay, I started doing this track on my M1, which is on the other in my other room actually. And I tried to recreate the sound on this Juno from Arturia. I show you exactly the preset I use. It's called Rebirth, and there is a I showed you before. Yeah, RX 95. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Just let me play this. Really easy notes. This is kind of adding just a little bit of distortion. Then there is a chorus from Arturia. It was free probably, I'm not sure. But there's another amazing chorus model on the Juno from Sonica Karima. I usually use that as well. So there is a compressor for the side chaining, as you may see it, and there is an auto filter for the automation, just to introduce the synth. And some EQ, removing basically the low ends. And there is another EQ here because as you can hear it, the synth is really annoying because it introduces a lot of resonance, especially from 1K to 3 or 5K actually, which is really sensible. Our ears are really sensible to this part. That's why I decided there is too much going on actually. Probably I can replace this with one band or just a dynamic EQ to reduce the terrible resonance. And what else? And there's nothing else here. Okay, so this is the synth. Okay, this is an analog lab playing some chords. Okay, let me show you the chords. I'll play this with and without everything inside. Okay, just let me play it from here. Funny story is that everything started from these chords, because it reminded me the first time that I've been in Ibiza in 1991. That's why the name of the track, 1991. So those are the tracks. Again, another RX-95 given that kind of grittiness. Another chorus. Compressor for the side chaining, and there is, instead of using the auto filter, I decided to go with a filter free one, but you can use an auto filter as well. It's up to you. Okay, there is a sort of EQ because I felt that there was a huge lack of high frequencies on this particular synth. Just let me show you which was the preset that I used. Gosh, alright. It's called June Blend. I'm not sure. Anyway, sounds amazing. Okay, so there was the pads. This is simply a loop. And why I decided to add to the mid-high folder, because it was really medium-ish, and that's why I put it over here. The only thing that I did here was clip it, because the transients were really dynamic, and I destroyed this with a clipper. Okay, and there is an automation here as well, so I'm just using the utility to gradually introduce right after, actually before the drop here. Okay, so what we have, what else? There is simply a percussion. Okay, just let me, actually I think it is a crash. Okay, together with a black hole, long tail reverb here, but nothing is happening. This is another amazing part taken from the M1. If you don't have any M1, real M1, you can always use the Korg VST M1, okay? Okay. And those are the chords that I played for this track. Again, an RX-95, a compressor for the sidechaining. This is a filter for, just to open it inside the break. And a track spacer because I didn't want that they clash it together with the main melody, which was that one. Okay, that's it. That's pretty much everything for the musical parts, together with some pads. Actually, I may have some pads later on. No, oh yeah, this is only basically percussion, I think. Yeah, that's it. This is an open ad. Treated it with some satin, clean tape. Okay, and this part, this is really funny. I was a big fan of Core, which is an amazing plugin developed by Native Instruments back in the days. Unfortunately, they discontinued 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, before going to Machine. And Core was an incredible tool for creativity. Still loving it and still using it. So basically, I applied some Core presets to some drums that I created inside Battery, and this was the result. The result was kind of phasing, flangering drums. Yeah, that was amazing, and that's basically the same thing with some other elements, with some other drums. A lot of reverb here. Okay, pretty much nothing really important actually for the track itself. This is a simple preset from Repro. If you have Repro, I'm pretty sure you have this preset. And where else? Oh, this is nice because it's some elements from a vocal effects. Okay, just play this. Just let me play this all. Okay, so this is, I'm pretty sure I got it from Loop Cloud or from Splice, can't remember. It's anyway, it's an effects vocal, and I just took it, just some parts of this, and I played it, and I've added an echo boy, and it sounded that way. And the only thing that I've done here was remove some low end. Probably I will need to tame some medium frequencies here. Okay. Again, that's really not too important for the track itself, but it gives more, some elements, some sparkling elements here and there, which make the track sound a little bit more interesting. What else? This is an effects. Just a sample. These are some tambourines. The tambourines sometimes are really harsh. And to tame this harshness, I decided to add this amazing plugin, which is called Lo-Fi AF from Plugin Alliance. One of my favorite, actually, to generate some lo-fi beats. I usually try to decrease this volume stretch OS shift without width. Amazing, sounds amazing. Everything inside that plugin sounds better. There is a sidechain compression here, some auto filter, again, just some automation to opening it and closing it throughout the track. And in order to tame some harshness, I've added the sculpture from Neutron. It's not doing too much actually, but it's definitely taming those resonance here. Okay, so I usually start from tame resonance, which is a preset from Neutron sculpture, and I tweaked it just a little bit, and it sounds definitely amazing. And what else? Yeah, I've removed some low-end information here. Okay. So there is pretty much nothing else. What else? This is an open hat, just a sample, nothing, pretty much nothing. This is another path that I introduced just to make the breakdown a little bit more epic, playing definitely the same notes that I played in the analog lab before, but it's coming from Diva. Let me okay, same things as we had before on the analog labs. And what else? This is pretty much the same thing, but actually they are kind of low notes that were really important for the breakdown to me, just to create more epicness. Okay, coming from Diva as well, really easy. This is the preset MK bass. What I have here was pretty much nothing. Okay. Another essential parts for the breakdown are, of course, the strings. Strings are coming both from M1. I play them together. And this is another M1. This is the name of the preset, string chords. Why did I use the strings? Because they are amazing to create a the kind of transition, the kind of tension, which is absolutely important for the breakdown in this particular track, actually. And what else? Right after we have an effect coming from Serum. Just let me play this for you. These are simply samples with some echo boys here and there, and pretty much nothing else. This is a reverse effect from nothing else. And these are simply claps coming from battery. Okay, with these amazing reverb, one of my favorite reverb ever. And that's it. So together with some, just let me play just the breakdown. Maybe from here. That's it. Okay, on the master bass, I decided to master this track. Oh no, just let me show you. I totally forgot about it. Just let me show you what I have inside the medium-high elements, because I split it: drums, bass, and medium-high elements. Sometimes I do, sometimes not. It depends on the track, actually, and I just want to do it because I felt that it was better that way. I don't know why. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you do, actually, because you feel doing something, but you don't know how to do it. And I split the parts into drum, bass, and medium-high elements. On the medium-high elements, I have an exciter. I usually start from accent stereo effects from these particular presets, but sometimes it's too much. And I decided to change the triad, the kind of elements they usually have inside these. Just let me, okay, bring it. Okay, so I usually add 4 bands, and I replace the worm with the tape. Okay, and okay, and I usually go that way in the mid side. In the mid part, actually, and on the side, I usually go that way. But it depends on the track, so it's up to you. Okay, so I usually add, I usually swap the triad to cheap in the side. Why? Because to me, it sounds a little bit more. It sounds better, a little bit more sparkling. That's why I usually swap the triad. She's right there with the tube. Okay, there is an E major here, kind of opening this, and it was too much actually for the. Okay, I didn't know, because I made this track 2 or 3 months ago actually, but I usually try to open this part as well, but sometimes it's too much, as I told you before, and I decreases this part. I don't know why, but I made it. It sounded better to me, actually. That's why. And there is a clipper just to tame all the transient coming from the synths, coming from the bass, from the musical elements. Basically coming from the piano parts, and that were clashing, as I told you, they was clashing together with the synth elements, the piano elements, the synth elements. They usually have some proper transient, and in order to kind of tame those transient and to keep it a little bit more controlled, I usually add a clipper. And that's it. I don't have any master. The only thing that I got inside the master here was a Shadow Hill mastering compressor and a Pro L, but that was not the master. It was a sort of pre-master. I mastered by myself this track into another session. Probably I'm going to show you the master later on. So that's it for this track breakdown. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for purchasing this track and keep on playing it. See you next time. Bye. Ciao, ciao.